I do not have an ultimate creative goal. I kind of just maneuver with life. I wing it, I just be flowing.
In 2018, a Vallejo, California native had an idea. LaRussell Thomas had been rapping as a hobby since before high school, but upon graduation, the twin pressures of contributing to his household and providing for his then newborn daughter forced him to take up 9-to-5 employment. However, his days toiling as a factotum couldn't kill his creative aspirations, so on the side, he quietly put together his first album, The Field Effect. On the strength of that project's local acclaim, LaRussell doubled down on his art and pursued his recording career full-time. However, his approach to music and the business behind it are entirely unlike anyone else in the music industry, dropping projects nonstop and splitting the writing mechanical pie with everyone from his collaborators to his engineers to the team that screen prints his merch. And he even allows fans to get in on it and support by buying percentages of his song as well. A breakout freestyle in 2021 on The Breakfast Club launched LaRussell into the national conversation, and today he sits with offers from every label in his inbox, sold-out shows booked around the country, and a fan base that doubles every 6 months. And it all started with one idea. How did your parents' professional life inform your ambition?
So like my dad has always like worked but also like hustled. He sold everything, like clippers and products, just like he was just a hustler. Had great product packaging and representation, and the way he communicated with people, you know, he really built relationships with the people that he did business with and things like that. Watching that definitely like inspired me. I got to really see the grind of someone like just building, you know, their own empire.
Tell me a little bit about your family life growing up. We are at
We're at
your
my
house.
home.
This is the home you've lived here for 27 years?
For the most part. I came here when I was 4.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have 3 sisters, all older. I'm the youngest and the only boy.
What was the dynamic of being the sort of baby of the house?
It was cool. I really got to kind of establish like my own independence. I feel like I was always in my own world.
Is this the bedroom you've been in since you were a little kid?
Yeah, I've been in this bedroom and it's just transformed to a different level. Oh, we got a booth in here.
So you got a very robust library.
The library, you know. The crock collection is fabulous, you know, it's thriving.
All right, so this is the garage where everything happens, the magic.
This is the garage.
I've seen a lot of freestyles happening.
Come on, right? And sometimes, nope, she didn't take it down. There it goes right there. So all throughout my life, my mom has left notes on shit. So drink what the you get and bring your own shit. That's my mom, that's what it says.
The front door, there was some rules though about where they can leave things.
Right.
Was music an important part of the household?
Definitely. There's always music going on. You know, every trip in the car is music in the house in the mornings, just constantly parties. We were a party family, so there's always some parties, always some music.
What style, what genres, what artists?
Soul, funk, R&B, hip hop.
And when did you notice that you felt particularly drawn to music?
It's been forever. When I was in elementary school, one of my friends used to like beat on tables and I used to freestyle and rap, and I was always writing in notebooks. I used to have this boom box, you know, we put CDs in and just rap over the beats, line wire, instrumental. So I was always kind of interested, but I really like dove in more towards high school, like getting on a serious level.
Who were the artists that you were listening to that was inspiring you to want to write?
Kanye West was like a big inspiration. He inspired me to just produce, to want to make beats. Tupac early on, you know, because everything felt different. DMX, 50 Cent, you know, everyone that you hear on the radio, that's what you take to until you could find and establish your own liking.
You're at home, you're making beats. Are you playing them just for your friends? And
back then, not even.
Really?
I used to, yeah, for a long time, I wasn't really like too much showcasing my art, you know, like I dropped some things in high school and then I kind of went into like a refinement for a couple years and was just making stuff. It was really me finding myself. Like I got a lot of songs early where I sound like Kendrick. You could hear like the Kendrick influence or the Eminem influence or the Drake or the Cole influence. So I was really just trying to be everything, like a melting pot of everything, all of my favorites, and trying to figure out how they did what they did and just whatever I was influenced by at that time.
As you started to get through high school, you became a little bit more serious about music. Were you at the time considering other disciplines?
Yeah, definitely. I was serious in terms of like I would come home and make beats and I would write more raps, but I wasn't serious in the sense of like, this is my career, this is all I'm gonna do. So I still went into like the work field after high school and got a few jobs. I wasn't really focused on music at all. I was just working and just trying to, navigate life and get through life.
Was there any sort of like catalyst or moment that pushed you in the direction of just getting a 9-to-5 and working?
Yeah, I wasn't making money. Yeah, I wasn't making money from it.
What did you get into?
My first job was at UPS. I ended up being like a seasonal helper, and I was like the introduction into workforce. That was my first time getting a check and things like that. I ended up going to FedEx from there, doing like warehouse distribution. I went to a winery after that, doing like distribution production, and then I landed in aerospace, doing production, and then eventually doing like contract admin stuff.
Was it interesting?
Yes and no. It's very interesting, but it's not interesting to me because I didn't care about none of that. I know it's time to pivot when the passion is no longer there, when I'm no longer excited or joyful about the work.
Do you think that time working a 9-to-5 has been crucial to setting you up to be where you are now?
Definitely. It shows you how invested you are. If you're willing to work a 9-to-5 and work overtime, I used to work 12, 14-hour shifts and work overtime and then come home and build your own company, then you'd be willing to build your own company alone, without that as well. But it definitely molds you and it teaches you to kind of like lock in and stay focused. It's very hard to give yourself to a company for 8 hours and then come home and still give yourself the best of you too.
Was there a specific reason that you sort of turned back towards music?
The hood. I released an album in 2018 called The Field Effect, my first album. I started sharing it to people at work and they loved it, and it got to a point where I'm like, well, let me share it a bit more. People I went to high school with, people who live locally, who my pops passed the CD to, or my mom, and they loved it. And eventually I was taking mushrooms and we were at the park and a car passed by and it was playing the intro to the album. And it was like a crazy moment of just like reassurance. It was like, this is what you need to be doing. That was the big moment that was like, all right, let's go all in. I knew what I wanted to do and where I was going. My product just wasn't where I wanted it yet. But the whole time I knew that I could get there, but I was just kind of building.
Around the same time, you have your daughter. How did that impact sort of your ambition and your thinking about life and your future?
In every way, it makes you want to be successful. Like you want to succeed. You feel like a heavier sense of responsibility, and you just want to be a little bit better than you are.
Ready to invest all his time and money in himself and his music, LaRussell wanted to seize the means of production and control every facet of his brand. So he bought his own recording and editing equipment and even his own screen printing machines, and he pulled his friends and family close to help him start this literal cottage industry right there in his garage. So you put out the first record in 2018. It starts to get a little bit of traction. Things start to roll, and now you realize you have to create infrastructure around yourself in order to propel this forward.
Right.
What's the first domino that has to go down?
After the first album, I think we dropped with like a music video that I had my homies come and help me shoot, and I edited myself on my computer and graded, and we put it out, so it was already being built. After that, I was like, I'm gonna throw a show. I just decided one day I was gonna do a show. I feel like people love the album, so we started getting into that. It was about 130, 140 people, and it was a lot of Vallejo. Like, I really got embraced by home very early.
How did you fund that first project and the first show and all of that stuff?
My pops and the homies, if they're up here, take this, you know, we all pitched in collectively to make this happen.
What would you say is like a ballpark number that it cost in that first year to get the company going?
Jeez, probably like 100K, like 50 to 100K. I was buying all our own equipment and
so you're
audio,
sort of investing in the future.
Right. If you want to start a career in this, you don't have to invest in those things. But for me, we did. And we tried a lot of stuff that failed. You know, we worked with some PR companies that we didn't understand it and they robbed us, you know, paying for a playlist that's like, oh no, those aren't real. That you shouldn't do that. That's not how it works. And blog posts. So I also like burned through a lot of money just figuring out where I should be putting my money. I think the most important thing about building a team is having people that really care about you ultimately, not even just your art, but having people that really care about you and what you're doing. My biggest early supporter, my mom, for sure.
Were you in the back end of Spotify and looking at the streams and monitoring how the songs were performing?
Definitely. I was heavy into data at one point. Now I don't really care as much for it, but I was heavily into data in the beginning because, you know, it was new, and being able to see where people are and how they're reacting to your stuff was like very interesting. But that data is also so skewed. Like when you know and you understand how you could have 100,000 monthly listeners, but if you're on several playlists, those listeners aren't listening to you. They just happen to hear a song that you made. So that's not reflective of the people that may show up to your show or the people that may buy merch.
How does that change your strategy about setting yourself up?
It really made me stop putting so much power and investment into that side of it. We don't focus on the digital space and hiring people to like post our shit. It made me really cultivate the organic side, like make great content, make great music, and the people who love it will support it and share it.
So when did you open your LLC?
So after I quit my job in 2019, that was like one of the first things we did was get the LLC established and create a business bank account and start getting things of that nature set up.
How did you go about setting up your online store and building out the fulfillment infrastructure and all that?
Our first store was set up through like a Squarespace. I just looked on YouTube how to set up a Squarespace, and I just YouTubed how to do everything. And we kind of started meeting better people that knew how to do it. Taz Hall is a good friend of mine, and he's helped us establish our Shopify, where we now run and organize everything, and they've made it very seamless. I'm able to sell footage of performances. We shoot the footage really great and we sell it as concert footage, live events. After that, we started establishing like merch. We knew we wanted to do a show, and it's like, we're gonna do a show, we gotta sell some clothes. So I bought heat presses, and we end up, you know, starting the merch side of it. Invested in a heat press because we wanted to do merch for it. So, and then from then, we just kind of kept building. We got more. I started learning about different equipment that we would need, and we just started investing in everything, garments, so we could do everything in-house. Beyond what we save, we put our life energy into it and our heart. You're getting something that was really created and crafted by us at home.
So you had your hands on literally every piece of product.
Every piece, everything you see from like Good Company or you hear receive from Good Company, I've seen or touched. It's in my house. My team touches it. If it's dropped to the post office, my mom takes it, the homies take it, everything here. It creates a realer experience, you know, like there's some people who support so much, they buy so much merch that sometimes I'll see their name, it's like, we can throw them extra, hook them up with a package. Like, you know, it's just a realer experience. We connect with these people. Sometimes we'll drop off packages, and if I drop it off, you know, they want to take a picture. It's like, it's a real experience. I navigate writer's block by continuing to write. I just let it flow. You know, if something comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then I just let it go. You know, I try not to force creativity or any type of art.
How do you think about your songwriting and also the volume of material that you're putting out is pretty prodigious at this point.
Man, the songs write itself. That's the very easy thing for me, is to write songs, because I just have to talk about what's happening in life. And so as long as life is going, I'll have a song to go along with it for a soundtrack, you know? With the labels, you know, artists release a lot less music, but they're able to release less because every day they're constantly getting put in front of someone new. They're establishing a new fan every day. So with us, I wanted to double down. It's like, if I could release a lot and find new people every day, we won. The code is cracked. A lot of my projects were made within a span of a week to a month. One of them was made the night before, you know, it all makes sense when it's done. I made in one night and we released it, you know, very soon after. We'll do dump sessions sometimes. We'll go to LA, and in 2 days in LA, I'll probably come home with like 25 songs, 22 songs. It just depends on my state, but yeah, I could hammer about 10 songs in a day.
Do you ever worry that you're saturating the market?
Not at all. You can never get enough of the good shit. You know, like, I've been buying weed a long time and I haven't got tired of it yet. So as long as you enjoy it and you love it, there's no such thing as oversaturation. You know, no one complains about having too much money.
Your projects, almost all of them, are sort of co-authored by a producer.
Right.
Tell me about sort of the strategy and the science behind that.
It just builds cohesion. I love when albums sound good top to bottom. Like, I don't like having to skip a track. And like, when I work with one producer, we're able to just create and develop a sound, you know, that people associate with a certain time or with a specific tone or album. It's also very easy and more convenient in terms of business. Like, when you actually start handling the business side and having to do the back end and the pub and the sound exchange and the splits, it's so much easier to just work with one person, you know, it simplifies everything.
Do you handle all of that administration?
Tieta helps me with the admin side in terms of registering pub and sound exchange. But yeah, for a long time, I was just entering everything myself and learning it. You know, we had a moment where I found out about pub and what it actually was and how you actually supposed to do it. And I had to go back through my back catalog and fix a lot of stuff.
How did you find out about it?
I had got a book by Ari Herstand called like The New Music Business. And then I bought several others that was just on the music business. Brent Faiyaz had a segment where Ty Byston was talking about how they did splits and how they paid the producers and the contributors. And I thought that was really dope. And I'm like, yeah, if you help on some art, you should probably get a percentage of it. There's no one way to do business. Like, the music business have been like this and have been corrupt by choice. Not by necessity, but literally because people choose to be this way.
How do you take that corruption out of it?
I just do good on my part. You know, I make sure everyone who's contributing to my art get a split and get a percent. It's very clear and transparent that what we're doing when I build with people, this is how I'm going to split it up. This is the percentage you're going to get, you know, and you get your stuff right away. You're able to see it, you know, like all of my team members have splits so they could see in their accounts, oh, this is what we worked on. This is the percent I got from it. It's coming in, you know.
Everyone on your team gets shares in the songs. And when you said that, I initially thought you meant, you know, the side artist and the producer and the engineer.
Right.
But you actually meant everyone on the team, including the people pressing the merch and shipping and handling everything. So they all see residuals.
They all see residuals. The more work you do here, the more you own, you know.
That's incredible. Do you ever feel like you're giving too much away, given that this all does start from you as sort of the oracle?
You know, I do have those times where it's like, damn, I gave away a lot, but it's also like, you have to, you know, for it to come back, you have to let it go. It's a flow that has to continue. So ultimately, I know that everything that I give will come back to me.
Working tirelessly to establish himself in the Bay and build out the business of LaRussell, every day the young rapper would add new skills both on the mic and outside the booth. Finally, after several years of hard work, a dozen projects, and mostly incremental gains, a string of viral freestyles in 2021 would land LaRussell on the radar of hip-hop's gatekeepers. The combination of his remarkable talent, unorthodox approach to the business, and irresistible enthusiasm were undeniable and set the Vallejo phenom up for explosive success in 2022.
Morning, everybody, it's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
That's right.
His name is LaRussell, not L.A. Russell.
He gonna rap.
Okay.
He gonna rap.
All right. There's only millions of people listening right now. No pressure, though. No pressure.
How did you, as an independent artist operating out of Vallejo, end up sitting in the Breakfast Club chair?
I think Hovain, Hovain sends out my music to people like, you gotta check this out.
What is your relationship with Hovain?
Hovain is my dog. He helps me on the management side and bringing opportunities in, and just kind of cultivated a cool relationship. He loves what I'm doing, and he just lends his hand and support where he can.
How did you guys connect?
I went out to New York to meet with Cinematic, with Johnny Shipe's team, and Hovain manages on Cinematic and helps them on that end.
What year was that?
This was last year.
Oh, last year.
The end of last year, yeah.
Okay, so this is a relatively new relationship.
All of it is fresh. All of this is fresh, yeah.
And this all started with that 2021 freestyle, basically?
Yeah, I think that's where Johnny Shites found me as well, on World Star, though. He found me through World Star, but that same freestyle, yep. I had paid for a Rap Marathon post, and Wallow seen it on Rap Marathon, and then he reposted, and then it just started a whirlwind, and then Charlamagne reposted, and Russ found it on TikTok. Everything started kind of clicking simultaneously after that.
African and the European whip. Like we ain't come here on no European ship. Your opinion, shut your European lips. Money and murder, that's that European. I know better, I just hold my tongue. Yelling out total while I'm on my run. Happily wave back as I hold my gun. Oh shit, I seen a lot of niggas die, they all look like me. Know your rights get denied when you look like me. Yeah, we both from different sides, but you look like me. I come to man in the mirror, never look like me.
The Breakfast Club and the LA Leakers moments were real breakout performances for you.
It wasn't until last year that we start really getting label offers and calls from people of status within the industry.
You've done everything independently so far. Why is that?
I just had to. It's not like LA or New York where we have all the resource here to amplify your career, or you could just kind of be in studios and figure out your way. Like, there's nothing here. So we had to build everything that we use, all of our tools in terms of production, audio, we had to build it in-house.
Have any other major labels reached out to you?
Just about all of them. Yeah, a good amount.
And what are they talking about?
Nonsense, I think it's one of those things where when something's hot, everyone kind of jumps on. Like, we had one specific day that was a really, really big day, and I got a call from everybody, in a 4 or 5 hour period of time.
This is the day you got like 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
I looked at the back end analytics too.
Right. So it was that day, and it's the typical mumbo jumbo, the wine and dine, and we could do this, and we're the best at this, and no one can beat our team at this, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They're not even fans. That's like the instant turn off for me, is like, if you're not a fan or familiar with what I'm doing and actually supporting, I really have no interest.
You did recently enter into a business agreement with Russ, a friend of Idea Generation. What was it about the opportunity to work with him that made you go, this is the thing that I want to pursue?
Russ was very adamant on helping. He knew my song, he knows the catalog, and he'll tell, man, this bar, and like, he's a fan of the work. When I talk to him, like, he's filled with passion. Like, he often texts me and reassure me of my greatness, and he allowed me to structure my own deal. Like, he literally asked me, what do I want? Outline it for me, what do I need? Let me know what works for you. And I let him know what works for me, and that's what I got.
What are the sort of broad strokes of the deal? It's a one album situation?
Yeah, so this is for one project, and it's a partnership, 50-50, profit share, and man, it's beautiful, because everything that I do before this project, I do completely independently, and I own completely. There's no split, nothing, and then after we get into the same, strokes, we're like back together. It's really him trying to help me, in the way that he best can. And this is going to be beautiful, because we've yet to see two indies, come together and see if we could have the impact of a major. And we're not even shooting for the impact of the major. We're really two indies helping one another build this infrastructure even bigger and make it seem even more possible. To me, money just means a means of being able to execute my ideas, my vision, to live in the manner that I wish to live at the moment. Success is being able to sleep at night.
How long do you think it took until you were into the black?
Into the black? We're still not into the black. We're still not into the black. With me, I'm always doing something bigger. We just redid this backyard out of our own pocket. That costs a lot, and we got the shop now. So we're still not into the black because we're still just in that growth phase of creating, and everything that we make goes back into this. I could get into the black now if I wanted to, but I'm also not very desperate. It's not about getting into the black for me. You know, it's really about impact and me just enjoying my own journey and the art that I create, you know, in my life. I'm big on the flow right now. Let that out so it can come back in. Like, don't worry too much about trying to play it safe and trying to prepare for things. Like, wherever it needs to go, that's where it needs to go, so it can keep coming back and keep that cycle, you know? You can't save your way to freedom. I've had money. It doesn't make anything too much better, you know? There's things that you can now take care of, but it doesn't really make you feel better. So to me, it's like, once you get that and you understand it, it's not a rush. You know, I'd rather have something that I really cultivated and built, and it brings sustainable income that I don't have to feel anxious about losing. It doesn't come with all these terms that I have to meet, and now I have to find ways to validate myself, and I have to pitch myself to people. Like, I'm just not interested.
As you're laying out all of this capital, do you want to get into business with, you know, a major label or some sort of partner that can offset some of these costs and, you know?
Definitely. And this year, I've been able to lean on that a lot more. You know, I got a lot of people who want to be a part of it, and I found a way to enable them to where it makes sense for me, and I don't have to give anything I don't want to have to give, and they also don't on their end. And I also allow the people to invest in me, which is one of the best things. I feel like the people who support you should have the opportunity to make money with you first. So we did the stock and the gold cards where, you know, people are able to make an offer on a percentage of revenue from streaming of a song that they love, and they can offer an amount for it, and then they get that percentage of it, you know, in a perpetuity. So that's a way to bring in capital, and it's capital that's coming from someone who gets to make that back. You know, if you buy Nikes, you don't make any money back. But if you buy a LaRussell song that you listen to every day, you pay yourself, you know? When you make a song, you have 100% of a song. Once you divvy that down, and it's like the producer got his, the engineers, and everyone else got theirs, I look at it like, well, I don't need 40 or 30% of a song. Like, I made the song, I don't need it. I'll make my revenue in any matter. So now I have 40 percentages that I could allow other people to get in who may love the song, you know, and they play it every day. Like, you should be able to make money off the things that you support and put your time into.
When people buy these shares, are they getting paid off of the publishing or the writing mechanicals?
The mechanical. So the streaming royalty, they're getting paid from the distributor.
Okay.
I own all my publishing. I don't sell any publishing. I think the most important aspect of the industry that artists aren't thinking about is their ownership, and the value in that, and how much that is worth.
I know that you also have a similarly disruptive and interesting way that you sell tickets for these shows that you do here in your backyard.
So that's our new thing. We're doing residencies. I don't like setting ticket pricing. So originally we started with the slogan, it's not free, it's priceless, where we just remove the price. You just pay whatever you feel. Whatever you want to pay and you feel like it's worth, you can pay, and you can donate throughout the show. After that, I just wanted to go a little bit deeper and provide an even deeper experience. So when people come to my house, they get to eat for free, and they get to chill with my mom and smoke, and we just kick back here and we kick it, and I perform and you get a show. And I felt like that was worth a little bit more. So now I allow people to make offers on what they'd be willing to pay to come out to the house and have that experience. And we do it kind of like the stock. If it's an offer and it's like, this feels worthy, you know, like I'm investing my family's time and my energy and my home and opening my space. So it's just new. It's allowing people to determine what their experience is worth to them.
That's a really incredible thing to invite people into your personal space like that. I mean,
right? To me, it's like the best thing, you know, like it's where I'm most comfortable. You know, everyone here loves me. I'm in my zone. If I need to go, I can go in my room and chill and come back. You know, it's the best for me. And I think that's why our fans are like willing to pay a little bit more when it comes to what our experience is worth, because they understand that my mom is dropping off packages and the homies are pressing merch. You know, it's a different type of feeling. They feel like family.
when you're creating, do you have a process to how you approach writing songs as well as things like books and
Not really. It's that flow state, you know? Like if I'm feeling it, it's just there. Whether it's a book or a song or a movie, you know, I got movie scripts that I write as well, and those usually happen in a day's time or a few days. With music, it usually starts with the beat. Once I have a beat that kind of resonates with me, everything else flows with it.
Do you get anxious when you're creating ever?
No, you know, creating is the easy part. That's the part that's the least worrisome. Like, there's no strategy, and you don't have to think about the marketing and how it affects. I just get to create whatever is happening in life. That's what I get to create at that moment.
Okay, and what about with managing the business? Is that a stressful thing?
It can be, you know, if we allow it to be. Like, for me, yeah, it becomes tedious and stressful at days just because, like, I'm a creative. Naturally, I want to create. I don't want to have to deal with that. I love doing good business. You know, I love making creative, innovative new ways to do business, but I don't enjoy the industry's business.
What are the most satisfying parts about running the business of LaRussell?
Paying other people. I think that is the greatest part. It's like giving people equity in things they help build and being able to pay people for the things that they've done, and just like see people be able to like navigate and live their lives while helping you build your own company.
Where do you want to be in 10 years?
Hopefully in this pergola, chilling and smiling, because I had a successful career and I made it, and I just get to chill.
Do you feel like you're achieving musically everything that you want to right now?
Definitely, yeah. Beyond everything that I ever could imagine. You know, there's definitely more levels to go, and as we grow, that keeps getting bigger. Like that one, you know, it's turned into 1 million, but definitely far beyond. Like, I make money off music, which is an incredible feat for any artist to be able to make money off of your art.